Good morning, my dear children. I hope you all are doing well, and I hope you have understood the previous poem well. Before starting with the first chapter today, I know that you all have got the book list, so I would like to tell you that for English, you have to take the textbook of Vidya publication, and it is of A.K. Gupta. Based on the new NCERT format, and you have to make 2 registers of 200 pages, one for literature and one for grammar. And whenever we are going to do a poem, you are supposed to write the poem in your notebooks as well, right? So today we are going to start with the first chapter in your prose section, that is The Fun They Had. Now, The Fun They Had is a story that is, I would say, completely appropriate for whatever is going nowadays. Like, it tells about the importance of school, right? The story is set up in 2157. It's set up in future, and where there will be no schools, and everything is going to be there online, and you will be like just the way we are having nowadays. And it talks about how it is important to go to school. Like, you all must be realizing, you all must be missing school. School is not only a place where you get education. School is a place where your overall personality is being developed. You learn how to share, you have friendship, you learn loyalty, you learn companionship, you learn everything, When you go out of your comfort zone, you go out in the world, you understand how to deal with people. So schooling is very important. So this story talks about a girl who gets to know about the thing that there were schools in previous times, and now everything is online, and she understands the value of going in a classroom. When you are in a classroom, you have friends. Like, I am missing you all a lot. Classroom interaction is entirely different. You get, we crack jokes, I get answers from you, there's a constant interaction. So schooling is very much important. This chapter is all about that only. It is written by Isaac Asimov. Isaac Asimov, he was born, in Petrovich, Russia, and he emigrated with his family to United States, and he became a professor of biochemistry while he was pursuing writing. So he was very fond of writing, and his first novel was published in 1950. It is named as Pebble in the Sky, and he was an immensely prolific author. Prolific here refers to someone who has given a lot. It is basically used for writers and authors and poets. So he had only nearly 500 books of every genre, and he wrote about sci-fi, and he published many of the influential sci-fi works. One of his book named as I, Robot, and he had Foundation and Empire, which was published in 1942, and he died in New York City on April 6th, 1992. And there is one quote of Isaac which says something like that: self-education is, I firmly believe, the only kind of education there is. So he in his quote, he's telling that when you are learning yourself, whatever the teacher is teaching, that is fine, but you have to learn yourself. Self-education, that means you have to prepare yourself, you have to learn. I am giving a lecture, after that you have to revise, you have to go through it, you have to understand. Only then you can understand anything. When you have queries, that means you are going through something, you are going through the lecture. So this story, as the background I have already told, it has been set up in future, and there is one girl named Margie, and she finds out something about the previous schooling or education system. So I request you all to please open up your textbooks and read along with me, and so that you can understand the text well. So Margie even wrote about it that night in her diary on the page headed 17 May 2157. She wrote, "Today Tommy found a real book. It was a very old book, Margie's grandfather once said that when he was a little boy, his grandfather told him that there was a time when all stories were printed on paper. They turned the pages, which were yellow and crinkly, and it was awfully funny to read the words that stood still instead of moving the way they were supposed to on a screen, you know. And then when they turned back to the page before, it had the same words on it that it had when they read it for the first time. Now, this chapter opens up about Margie. Margie is a little girl, and every time she used to write everything in her diary. Like, people have this habit of doing the diary entry, and she does it. And the date which was given on that, on that diary entry was of 17th May 2157. As I have told, it is set up in future. So there she wrote that she found a real book. Now you can understand, in 2157 the things are completely different. Now they don't know the value of textbook. They don't have textbook. They don't understand the value of this textbook. They don't have the understand the value of these pages, because everything is computerized. Whatever they are getting, no matter the study material, their papers, their quiz, everything is there on their computer screen. They don't have to write anything on a notebooks, or they don't understand the value of these textbooks. So she was very much surprised, and she tells she writes in that diary that Tommy and he had found a real book. So she was very surprised कि textbooks भी होती थी, इस तरह की बुक्स भी हुआ करती थी, एंड पेपर जो थे वो बहुत ज्यादा पेल हो गए थे, एंड दे वर वेरी मच क्रिंकली मीन्स बहुत ज्यादा फोल्ड्स थे उसमें, बहुत ज्यादा लाइंस थी उसमें, एंड एवरीथिंग इट वाज टर्न्ड पेल, एंड शी वाज वेरी मच इट वाज ऑफुली फनी. मतलब बहुत ज्यादा फनी था उसके लिए ये इमेजिन कर पाना कि उसके ग्रैंडफादर के टाइम पे, क्योंकि उसके ग्रैंडफादर ने उसको बताया था, ही हैड टोल्ड हिम दैट देयर वाज व्हेन ही वाज अ लिटिल बॉय, there was a time where there were stories printed on paper. Now the grandfather, he told her that in their times the stories and everything was printed on paper. Now everything is computerized. Whatever they get on the computer screens, right? So that was the time when she turned the papers, when she looks into the textbook, she was very much surprised, because when you read on screen everything is moving, you can touch and you can change the paper, a page, and you can read everything, the words are moving, it is very graphically presented. But here in your textbook everything is printed. We don't have moving words, or we cannot just touch and slide the pages. So she was very much surprised, and she find it really funny to read the textbook, and बहुत ज्यादा वो सरप्राइज हो गई कि मतलब पहले क्या पेपर हुआ करता था, हम तो कभी जानते ही नहीं, व्हाट इज ऑल दिस. इट वाज वेरी मच सरप्राइज्ड. Now moving forward, G and said, Tommy, what a waste. When you are through with the book, you just throw it away, I guess. Our television screen must have had 1 million books on it, and it's good for plenty more. I wouldn't throw it away. Same with mine, said Margie. She was 11 and hadn't seen as many telebooks as Tommy had. He was 13. She said, where did you find it? In my house. He pointed without looking, because he was busy reading in the attic. What is it about school? Now they both the fellows, they were having a conversation, and he said G is a it's a mild expression of surprise. He was very surprised, and Tommy was saying, what a waste. I mean, हमारी जो telebooks हैं, telebooks means the computer screens, and when you are having a textbook, आप एक textbook में एक ही मतलब format में कुछ ही stories आप इसमें आ सकती हैं, कुछ ही stories में आप पढ़ सकते हो. एक textbook की एक limitation होती है, पेज की एक limitation होती है. But जब telebooks की हम बात करें, whatever is there on the computer screen, you can store plenty of stories. You can have plenty of books. जैसे कि आप अपने लैपटॉप में या कंप्यूटर में आप बहुत सारी चीजें सेव कर सकते हो, राइट? आप मूवी सेव कर सकते हो, सॉन्ग सेव कर सकते हो, स्टोरी सेव कर सकते हो, लेकिन एक टेक्स्ट बुक की कुछ लिमिटेशन होती हैं. सो यहाँ पे टॉमी वाज टेलिंग व्हाट अ वेस्ट. आई मीन, क्या हमारे टेलीबुक्स में तो हमने बहुत ज्यादा पढ़ रखा है, इनसे ज्यादा स्टोर किया जा सकता है उसमें. एंड मार्जी वाज टेलिंग यस, सेम विद माइन, मेरे संग भी ऐसा है. एंड मार्जी के संग ये था कि शी वाज 11 एंड टॉमी वाज 13. 13. So Margie has not gone through so many telebooks. उन्होंने इतना, Margie ने इतना नहीं पढ़ा था, Tommy ने ज्यादा पढ़ा हुआ था. And she said, where did you find it? तो Tommy asked कि तुमको मतलब Tommy से उसने पूछा कि तुमको कहाँ मिली थी ये? तो he said that in my house. He pointed without looking because he was busy reading in the attic. You know, attic is the room within the roof used. एक आपके जो रूफ के बीच में, आपके जो रूफ के ऊपर एक you know एक छोटा सा रूम होता है, स्टोर रूम टाइप, उसको हम attic बोलते हैं. तो वो वहां पे बैठ के पढ़ रहा था, ठीक है. He was busy and he did not pay very much attention, so he pointed looking without looking, and उसने बोला कि मुझे अपने घर पे मिली थी. And Margie was very much surprised. पूछा किस बारे में है ये बुक. उनके लिए ये इस तरह की बुक मिलना बहुत ज्यादा स्ट्रेंज चीज थी, ठीक है. एंड उन्होंने पूछा, मार्जी आस्क्ड कि किस बारे में है ये. तो टॉमी रिप्लाइड, इट्स अबाउट स्कूल. Now Margie was scornful. School? What's there to write about school? I hate school. Margie always hated school, but now she hated it more than ever. The mechanical teacher had been giving her test after test in geography, and she had been doing worse and worse until her mother had shaken her head sorrowfully and sent her for the county inspector. Now she was, you know, बहुत ज़्यादा hateful थी. She did not like school at all. Every single child, initially when you come to school, when you get admitted in class nursery, you don't like school, right? You don't want to come out of your comfort zone. आप अपने shell से बाहर निकल कर आके अपने parents से दूर रह के आप school नहीं आप पसंद करते हो, ये होता है. But once you are in school, when you have friends, when you understand, when you start liking the teachers, when you start, you know, communicating with them, आपको school जाना अच्छा लगने लगता है. Margie has not gone through all these feelings क्योंकि वो घर पे ही रहती थी. She used to stay at home and lectures उनके आ जाते थे, उनके टेस्ट आ जाते थे, ठीक है. तो she did not like school at all. उनके लिए school की definition यही थी that every day you have to sit for this, from this time to this time, you have to go through the lectures, you have to perform the test, and that is it. So she did not like school as well, and she was surprised, what is there to write about school? Come on, school के ऊपर कौन book लिखता है? Because they don't know the value of school. Right now, if you ask any of us to write a book on school, we can write, because there are many of the feelings which we are having in school. We have friends in school, you know, which are very much important. We cannot live without our friends. You must be understanding now. You must be missing your friends, sitting together, sharing the lunch and talking, gossiping. Everything has its own importance. You know, it's sheer pleasure to be in school. She did not understand all these things because she has never been to school. Her schooling is only confined to a computer screen. So she did not like the school, and she said that now I hate it more than ever. And the mechanical, वो बोला उसने कंप्यूटर में उसको, इन द मैकेनिकल टीचर हियर रेफर्स टू द कंप्यूटर. इन द कंप्यूटर शी यूज्ड टू गेट द टेस्ट ऑन ज्योग्राफी, एंड शी हैड बीन डूइंग वर्स. वो बहुत खराब उसमें परफॉर्म कर रही थी. एंड नाउ हर मदर हैड शेकन हर हेड सॉरोफुली, बहुत गुस्से में, बहुत दुख के साथ उसकी मॉम ने, शी वाज वेरी मच फिल्ड विथ हेट्रेड. उसकी मॉम बहुत दुख के साथ उसके हेड को एकदम शेक कर देती है, एंड उनको काउंटी इंस्पेक्टर के पास उसको भेज देती हैं उसके टेक्स्ट को. एंड ही वॉज देन काउंटी इंस्पेक्टर. आते हैं वहां पे जिला, इट्स रिटन इन योर हिंदी ट्रांसलेशन एज वेल. इट्स नोन एज जिला निरीक्षक, द पर्सन हु इज इन चार्ज ओवर देयर. वो जो चेक करने आते हैं. एंड he was a round little man with a red face and a whole box of tools with dials and wires. तो वो आते हैं अपनी पूरे टूल किट के साथ. He smiled at Margie and gave her an apple, then took the teacher apart. Margie had hoped he wouldn't know how to put it together again, but he knew how, all right. And after an hour or so, there it was again, large and black and ugly, with a big screen on which all the lessons were shown and the questions were asked. That wasn't so bad. The part Margie hated most was the slot where she had to put homework and test papers. She always had to write them out in a punch code that they made her learn when she was 6 years old. And the mechanical teacher calculated the marks in no time. So now what happened that the fellow, she describes the fellow that he was a round little man with a red face. He came along with all his tools and wires. So, and he smiled at Margie and gave her his apple, and then took the teacher apart. Teacher apart means he opened the whole system. And Margie, she hoped that वो गलती कर देगा कोच, वो ठीक से उसको कर नहीं पाएगा. And but उसको सब आता था. He managed everything, and the whole thing was ensembled. And then the computer screen was there again, large, black and ugly, and with a big screen, and it had all the lessons. The only problem Margie had, the only thing, Margie did not like, the questions were asked over there, everything was there, the lesson was there, everything was not so bad. The only thing she did dislike was the slot. There is a proper slot. एक जगह थी जहां पे she had to submit her answers. वहां पे उसको आंसर अपने सबमिट करने पड़ते थे. जैसे कि आपके लैपटॉप में एक जगह होती है where you have to put your pen drive, where you have to put your data cable, everything is there, right? एक proper slot होता है हर चीज के लिए. वैसे ही उनके उस पे कंप्यूटर स्क्रीन पे वहां पे एक स्लॉट था where she had to submit her answers. So वो होमवर्क एंड टेस्ट पेपर्स, वो स्लॉट उसको पसंद नहीं था. She wanted that कि somehow वो स्लॉट जो वो खराब हो जाए और उसको वो सबमिट ना करना पड़े. एंड उसने she had to write them a punch code. एक मैकेनिकल तरीका है, उन्होंने एक पंच कोड भी दिया था. जैसे कि जब आप आपने गूगल फॉर्म में एग्जाम दिया था, तो आपको अपना SR नंबर और एवरीथिंग यू हैव टू एंटर, एंड देन यू गेव योर एग्जाम्स. आपने ऑनलाइन फर्स्ट हाफ ईयरली लास्ट ईयर गूगल फॉर्म पे हुआ था. आई नो यू मस्ट बी नोइंग. सो सेम वे उस टाइम पे ये तो इट वाज एन इमरजेंसी थिंग विच वी डिड नाउअडेज, राइट? बट उस टाइम पे चीजें ऐसे ही थी. तो जस्ट द वे यू हैव टू राइट योर SR नंबर, देयर वाज अ पंच कोड जो उसको व्हेन शी वाज 6 तब से उसको याद करा दिया गया था. एंड वहां पे जो मैकेनिकल टीचर, एंड शी इज बी टॉकिंग अबाउट द स्क्रीन, द कंप्यूटर, द मैकेनिकल टीचर, द टीचर हु इज गोइंग टू टीच फ्रॉम द कंप्यूटर. तो शी यूज्ड टू कैलकुलेट द marks. And the inspector had smiled after he was finished and patted Margie's head. He said to her mother, "It's not the little girl's fault, Mrs. Jones. I think the geography sector was geared a little too quick. Those things happen sometimes. I have showed it up to an average 10-year level. Actually, the overall pattern of her progress is quite satisfactory." And he patted Margie's head again. Now what happened? The inspector smiled and he finished and he said that no, it's not Margie's fault. Margie ka fault nahi hai. I think the geography sector, that means the part where the geography lessons were prescribed and everything. I think it has geared too quick. मतलब उसने एक particular level पे वो बहुत जल्दी adjust हो जाता है and हो गया है. And वो ये चीजें हो जा रही हैं, ये चीजें it happens sometimes. And मैं थोड़ा मैंने उसकी एडजस्टिंग जो स्पीड है, जो बहुत जल्दी जल्दी वो हो जा रहा है, जिसकी वजह से मार्जी को प्रॉब्लम हो रही है टेस्ट परफॉर्म करने में या उसका जो अंडरस्टैंड करने में लेसन को, तो वो मैंने स्लो डाउन कर दिया है. एंड द ओवरऑल पैटर्न ऑफ द प्रोग्रेस, जो उसका ओवरऑल पैटर्न है, जिस तरीके से वो ओवरऑल अपने लेसन में प्रोग्रेस कर रही है, वो सेटिस्फैक्टरी है. तो यहाँ पे द काउंटी इंस्पेक्टर ही केम एंड ही मॉनिटर्ड द कंप्यूटर स्क्रीन, ही मॉनिटर्ड द लेसन्स ओवर देयर. एंड he, the Margie's mother, she was surprised, she was very much worried. She thought why she is not understanding geography well, because the geography section, it was heading a little fast. वो बहुत ज्यादा फास्ट चल रहा था, जिसकी वजह से मार्जी वाज फाइंडिंग इट डिफिकल्ट टू ग्रास्प. बाकी सारे सब्जेक्ट्स में शी वाज सैटिस्फैक्टरी. सो हियर he monitored everything and he told Margie's mother that overall it's fine. It was only the geography sector जो बहुत ज्यादा जल्दी से एडजस्ट हो जा रहा था. मैंने उसकी स्पीड को थोड़ा कम कर दिया है. Now Margie is going to understand little well. And the overall performance as well. And Margie was disappointed. She had been hoping that they would take the teacher away altogether. They had once taken Tommy's teacher away for nearly a month because the history sector had blanked out completely. She said to Tommy, "Why would anyone write about school?" Now Margie was disappointed. Tommy's teacher, the whole definition of teacher for them was a computer screen. They did not have live teachers just the way you guys are having. So she was very much disappointed, and she said that they have taken Tommy's teacher altogether क्योंकि उसका history sector जो था वो blank हो गया था. And एक महीने के लिए he was enjoying बट मेरे संग तो ऐसा कुछ नहीं हुआ, मेरा तो टीचर भी यहीं पे रह गया. एंड शी सेड टू टेल मी दैट व्हाई ऑन अर्थ anyone is going to write about school. There is something going in her mind. She's still thinking about the textbook which she found out, which Tommy, Tommy ने उसको लाके दी थी. So she was still thinking about that thing. So we are going to stop over here. In the next lecture, we are going to move further and let's see what Margie and Tommy are going to think or are going to do about the school thing. So any problem, you can write in the comment section. Stay home, stay safe. God bless.